Happy New Year and warm welcome to all my Ikebana friends. I am Taruna Agarwal, President of Ikebana International Mumbai chapter. On behalf of our chapter, we are very glad to welcome our distinguished guests from all over the world, International President Mrs. Miho Okawara, and a very special welcome to our guest demonstrator for today, Mrs. Emily Karanikolopoulos from Melbourne, Australia. The new year begins with new hope. After a year of lockdown and disease, the pandemic isolated us. At the same time, we realize it's brought us closer. We have formed communities of common interest across the globe. Borders are no barrier today. When we connect with Ikebana lovers from various countries, sitting in our homes, a new world of pursuing passions and sharing art, even when confined, has brought us all closer than we ever imagined. Emily is a long-term teacher and a practitioner of Sogetsu Ikebana and a key member of Ikebana community in Australia. She has studied for 18 years, first under the tutelage of late Carolyn Patterson and then under Elizabeth Angel. She has the highest degree of Riji from Sogetsu School. As the fourth recipient of Norman and Mary Spannon Scholarship Award, Emily took 3 months of extensive study at Sogetsu headquarters in Tokyo. Her work extends from standard to large-scale installations, including innovative construction methods, ceramic constructions, and material manipulation. She has participated in many exhibitions and conducted workshops and won many awards. Now, I can go on and on praising Emily and talking about her resume, but I think it's time for her to show the magic of Ikebana to all of us. But before I ask Emily to demonstrate, I want Mrs. Miho Okawara to say a few words. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Miho Kawara, International President of Ikebana International. Today, I'm so excited to be with you all, and it's so honored to be invited to these occasions. First, I'd like to say thank you so much to Taruna-san, Mumbai chapter president, for organizing sessions. I know it's time-consuming and hard work for not only Taruna-san, but also other II members in Mumbai chapter. I really appreciate for your dedication to Ikebana International. And also today's demonstrator, Emily-san, belonging to Sogetsu School from Australia. I'd like to show my sincere appreciations to Emily-san for accepting this assignment as a demonstrator. And I look forward to seeing your Ikebanas today. And taking this opportunity, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude to the healthcare professionals and essential workers who have been devoting themselves for treating COVID-19 and supporting our lifeline. In line with the changing world we live in today, new forms of connecting people through Ikebana may be emerging like today, and many Ikebana events have been canceled or postponed, which must have made many of you feel hurt and down. But I trust you, and please be patient for a while. Let's be patient until the pandemic is over. I'd like to ask for your continued support and cooperations for one more year. And also, please be informed that we, Ikebana International Headquarters, will have New Year gatherings on Zoom and YouTube on 5th February. So please mark the date, and Princess Takamado is giving us some message, and some Iemotos also will send us some messages on the New Year gathering celebrations online. So please mark the date, and I'd like you to join in. And on behalf of Ikebana International headquarters, I'd like to welcome all of our members of Ikebana International. Let me conclude my greetings by expressing my appreciations for your support and the cooperations, and wishing good health and happiness and prosperity of all of you. Thank you.
Over to Emily now. Emily, you show us your magic now.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to echo the thanks that were expressed by Mrs. Taruna Agarwal to everyone, without repeating it all. But I would also like to extend one very big thank you to her. Taruna, you have quite an organizational skill for orchestrating this event, and I thank you for it. And I send you one very COVID-safe kiss across the world. Thank you very much. Just before I start, I don't want any long preamble. I'd like to introduce my assistants, my very trusty assistants, Lucy and Vicky. The girls are both my sisters, as well as my most senior students, and without them, I cannot do a demonstration. Whenever I demonstrate, one or the other is by my side, and they know how I work, and I feel that we really work well together. So I needed for you to know them. So having said that, we're going to get stuck into arranging. Because it's been such an awful year for all of us, Ikebana took a back seat. When Taruna-san contacted me and asked me to do this, I got very excited because suddenly I had something to work towards, something challenging, something interesting, apart from just sitting around or maybe doing gardening. So I took it on with gratitude. Thank you, Taruna. Now, girls. Thank you. I have had many years of experience in demonstrating, and what's come about from that is I realized that by making a very simple arrangement to begin with, something that perhaps will be striking but easy to, especially to people who haven't done Ikebana before, is a really good idea. I like to do something that people will look at and think, oh, I can go home and do that, or something similar. So in our curriculum, we have a more recent addition to our curriculum using glass containers. So this thing, actually, I bought it when I first started Ikebana, and it was, I must admit, an extravagant purchase, but it's held me in good stead. Now, this is a simple little vase. It's not as clear as the big demijohn, but it has a crazed look. When we're doing a demonstration in a glass container, what comes through is the refraction of the light. It changes the look of the arrangement, and that's actually adds an added interest. So what I'm going to do now is, this is a Gloriosa Lily. Some of you will be familiar with it, especially those of you living in tropical climates, because it's a tropical creeper. I'm very lucky to be able to grow it here. I've got a warm spot just for that. And so I'm going to place this in the little vase. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the little vase in the big one. I'm going to allow a little bit of water to go in. Initially, I want to show this one vase floating inside the other. This creates interest in movement, and I don't know from where you stand exactly how you see it, but the position from where it is viewed can change the look of the arrangement. And this is how it will look if it's floating. But I also like it if I fill the little bowl with water and completely submerge it. And I think you will find it's a completely different look now. The little craze pattern on the small bowl is magnified, and the whole thing looks simple but I think interesting. And in summer, which is where we are now, we are in the heart of summer, a cool arrangement like this is always very pleasing. So that's my first very simple arrangement. Okay. And whilst we're on the subject of glass arrangements, I thought I'd put these two arrangements close together. This is also a very simple arrangement. This vase of mine traveled all the way to Okinawa and back because I wanted to do a particular arrangement and I had to have it. The jolly thing weighs 4 kilos, but I did it. This thing here is called a fan aloe. And although I have it growing in a pot myself, Vicky has it growing in her garden prolifically, so she gave me a piece. I want to put this into the vase, but I want to curl it a little bit. It's quite a delicate it's quite a delicate material because although it's soft and pliable, it also can suddenly snap. So I'm curling it a little bit and I'm catching the curls just with a pin. It is an aloe, so it's really quite succulent and full of juices. So I'm curling a little bit the leaves and catching them, as I said, with just a pin and creating a curved shape underneath. Which hopefully will stay in place, and it didn't. Now, this is almost right. It really doesn't need much more. I debated with the idea of perhaps adding a flower somewhere, but seriously, in the Sogetsu school, we would find that superfluous because there is enough drama happening here. And you'll notice as I'm speaking to you, I'm removing some of the, I think they're called leaves that are not very good. And if this stays out of water, which of course it is because the stem is out of water, we'll put some, did you want to? Again, the water changes everything. It really changes the look. There are some materials when they are submerged underwater, they have a sort of a fine film over the top of them, which then creates a silvery look when it's in the water. Sorry, it's making a lot of noise. It's all right. Go with it. Do you want more? Yes, we need more. It's a big vase, it takes a lot of water. But unfortunately, we need to have it full to get the full effect. And I don't know if you're able to see it from where you are, but what I was saying earlier, that silvery effect is coming through. Unfortunately, the distance might be too great. No, that'll do. We can leave it there. So I'm just going to try and bring it a little bit closer in case that helps you to see how all around the, it's brought up a silver hue to the leaves. So that's another very simple arrangement.
Thank you, Sensei.
Extremely heavy, strong girls. I really need to explain a little bit about, my Ikebana is very much related to my gardening. I became a gardener because when I moved into this house, I had nothing. Absolutely nothing, really. There were only 2 trees on this half-acre property. And I started Ikebana, and I started seeing beautiful materials that I wanted desperately. And so in the 30 years, basically, that I've been involved in Ikebana, I have planted many, many plants. And this entire half acre now is brimming with material, and all of it interesting and all of it usable. I have a rule in my garden: if a plant can't be used in Ikebana, it's got no business being there. So now, one of the things that I have in great abundance, and those of you who follow my blog would have seen that I use Agapanthus a great deal. I know this is going to many places around the world, and it's possible that some of you don't have it. I know for a fact that it doesn't grow in cold areas where there's snow, but I use it and I love it. And so I wanted to show you what it looks like. This is the white version. It also comes in blue. I'm turning it around. These are curved stems, which I have deliberately curved when the stem was just a tiny little bud. I have one here to show you. This is the only one I could find, which is the bud. When the plant is in this stage, I bend them down. This one is not as flexible because we're past in the season, but normally it's more flexible than this. I bend it down and in some way secure it there. What happens is this thing wants to grow and this wants to grow towards the sun. So as it grows, it moves that way and creates these beautiful, beautiful, interesting shapes. And I do this a great deal. So the Agapanthus, apart from manipulating it to curve it and get these beautiful shaped stems, it also has other properties. When the flower dies, it is left with these seed heads. I don't know if you can see it very well. I'll put it behind the white vase. These are the little seed heads on top of it. When they dry and fall off or are removed, we are left with this very interesting, I call this the toilet brush stage, but it's very useful because it's very sturdy and strong, and used underwater, it looks fantastic for a very long time. But even after it goes through stage, if it's left on the stem, it dries. And this is what they look like when they're dry, right? It's very soft, very light. And although when it is in its fresh form, it is solid, when it dries, it becomes hollow. So it doesn't really go well into a kenzan. So what I want to use, that I usually insert a skewer or a stick, and that gives it strength and I can use it. I only wanted to show you what this looks like when it's dry, because later I will be using it painted. So for this arrangement, again, it's relatively simple. This is a lovely curved container. And the reason I have selected this is, apart from its look, it's also very strong. This curved shape gives it extra strength. These flowers are really quite heavy. And the further away they are from the position where they are placed, the heavier they are and the more likely to tip over the container that they're in. So care needs to be taken each time. I have put two little horizontal fixtures here on the vase, which I unfortunately can't show you because there's water in there. And I'm just going to place they really require so little because they're so beautiful in themselves that not much is needed to create a beautiful arrangement, right? To me, this is perfection, but we do need a little bit. This here, the material I'm using here for a mass is called Nandina domestica nana, and it is a marvelous, marvelous material. In winter, it changes to a beautiful, beautiful reds, which when they dry, they actually remain exactly the same as when they were fresh. So you wouldn't know if you had a fresh one or a dry one. Sorry. Just want to create a curved mass just to complement the I need to emphasize, for me, the beauty is the curve of the stems. This is just a subordinate material. And because I want to make sure that I can see that curve, I want to remove some of these leaves. So we also have a lesson in our books called emphasizing the shape of the container, or paying attention to the shape of the container. I think this works very well. The curve of the container and the curve of the stems. And this arrangement will actually last quite a long time because both of the materials are hardy. Just one more. There's always just one more. Okay? Thank you. There is actually a giant sculpture here in Melbourne, 10 meters tall, based on my Agapanthus, my curved Agapanthus. This is a long story, but I'll make it quite briefly. The artist, John Mead, saw one of my arrangements on the internet, and he contacted me wanting to know, what on earth is that material you were using? It was just dried Agapanthus that I'd used in a Christmas arrangement, and they were sprayed. He then asked me if I were willing to collaborate with him to create a big sculpture that he wanted to do. 3 years later, the sculpture was being installed, and it is now a street sculpture, and it's called Love Flower. It's very appropriate because Agapanthus is the Greek word for love flower. So if anyone wants to look that up, you can, and you can see our giant sculpture. Now, I know it sounds as though I'm really very much enamored of this material, but there's a good reason for it. Now, I spoke to you earlier. These are the dried Agapanthus, which I have put together so that I won't be fiddling too much here. I've sprayed one of them in this lovely color blue, which I'm hoping you can see, and the other two in white. What I did though, and here's an interesting little story, as I said to you before, I use these skewers inside the hollow part of this material so that I can then place it in the vase and place it in the Kenzan. When I did that, when I was doing my practice run, I actually thought, why don't I use a little bit of PVA glue in there, and that way the stick will glue in there and it'll be secure. I thought it was a brilliant idea. I've got a little Kenzan in here, and I placed my materials thus, and left it. There was no water in it because these are dry. When I went back to it, the glue had run down. It had stuck the sticks to the Kenzan, and now the Kenzan is permanently stuck at the bottom of this container. So it's nice and strong. Where I wanted it was this way. I have actually tied them together because I didn't want them splayed out. I wanted them coming neatly out of the center of the vase. I'm going to use here Mahonia, which is really quite lovely, but it is particularly prickly. So I need gloves for that. And in fact, I think I did it the wrong way around. This needs to go in first because you can't manipulate. Okay. And then I have the tendency to do more modern arrangements than I do naturalistic, and I decided I needed to incorporate more of those.
Emily, Can you adjust your computer a little, because we can't see the top part of your arrangement?
Oh, you're right, of course. Lou, can you tip it over? Open more?
Yes, yeah, a little bit.
Excellent.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you.
That's it. That's okay. Okay.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now this is a little bit too. I want to remove some of the leaves to create asymmetry in Sogetsu, especially we want asymmetry. Unfortunately, you can't see it. I need to tip it forward for you to see that I have more horizontal leaves on my left than I do on the right. There is also asymmetry in the dried Agapanthus. It's tipping over on me. Now I've also got here material. This material is called, this is Alstroemeria, but it's Alstroemeria citacina. And I need to cut them considerably shorter. I can use a few at a time because I'm going to be doing a little bit of a mass just to the back of it here, and just to add a little bit more color. These are actually quite delightful. I'm not sure how much of them you can see. The flower are colored red and green. I don't know if I can hold one. Lucy, can you hold one close to the, I don't know if you're familiar with them. Yeah, they're really quite delightful. And they, at this time of year, around Christmas time, they're very useful with the red, white and green coloring. It's almost designed for Australian summer Christmas. And they're really very useful because these lovely long stems are, there are times that I have, arrangements in a container that has small opening. Material that has a thin stem can be very useful. The Mahonia, if you're not familiar with it, is a fabulous material. Apart from being very prickly, it is very, very strong, and it can be used without water. And I love those sorts of materials because, there are times that you need things that can...
Gary Young has asked, can you explain whether or not you used copper? Oh, no. Explained earlier, you curve the stem as they're growing so that they mature with the curve. They are then allowed to dry with the curves. Yes. Did you use copper wire to the stems?
No.
Of the dried Agapanthus?
No. This arrangement is now finished. I'm sorry you can only see the front of it, but I hope you can see the blue also because it's a little bit dark and lost. Let me explain about, I've just been asked a question, Lucy has read it out to me from one of the audience about the curve of the stem. No, I don't use copper wire over it and then twist it. Merely by, can I have the little bud again, Lucy? Merely by bending the bud and securing it. You can just put a fork over it. All you need to do is to secure it. In fact, Vicky, my little sister and assistant here, does something else. This thing here, all it needs is to be kept there by a fork. That's it. It doesn't need to be wired over the top and then bent. That's far too much trouble. Vicky's method doesn't work well with mine because mine are very robust and strong. But what she does is she slits one of the leaves that are next to it, feeds this through lower than it was growing, and that's all it needs. And then it just is kept there and it retains its curve as it's growing. When you then cut the leaf away, it is still staying the way it grew. So it really is not nearly as difficult as one would think. And the thing is, you can also do that with other materials, and I do frequently with onions and garlic, and I will show you some other ones that I have also used. Now this is quite a strong container, which I bought in Japan. I created this structure by using, these are actually two, and I've put a little nail onto this one. I hope you can see it. I'll just put it on the table here. What I used for that is the dried flower stem of the New Zealand flax. This is the top part of it, and this is what it looked like when I cut it from the plant. It is a very light material, and although it's not hollow, it's mushy. So it means that when I cut it on a mitre, that way, I'll just show a small example. By cutting it on a mitre and then twisting it around and gluing it, we create those beautiful points, right? Just like so. Now, I can't take credit for this. I saw it once 20 years ago. It was done by Jan Kepi, a colleague. And since then, I've been meaning to do it all the time, never got around to it. Finally, because of this demonstration, I thought, time to try it out. And I happened to have two of those flower stems. So this is a beautiful and very versatile split container from Japan. And it's just a matter of finding how I jolly well put it in the first time. Do you know these things never work the way you put them the first time? I'm sure I'm not the only one who's had this happen to her. Don't you love it when they won't cooperate? There we go. That'll do. I wanted to create a couple of spaces, right? And I want to know wondering which one I want to use as the front and which is the back. I think this is probably the front. Right, okay. And I have the powder. Now we have had some seriously hot weather here recently, high 30s. I know our friends in India will probably think that's not that hot, but for us down here, it really is very hot. And I prize my hydrangeas, and they're very delicate. I don't like the heat. I went to great lengths to protect them. I usually, apart from watering very frequently, I cover them with sheets to protect them from the heat, the direct heat of the sun. And so I have here for you some really beautiful white. These are white hydrangeas, but what you don't see is there's a beautiful blush of pink as they age. The other thing I'm doing is after I've cut it underwater, I'm placing it in this powder. We know this powder as burnt alum. It is only available in Japan. And from what I understand, I mean, I bought it at a drugstore in Japan, but from what I understand, it is used there for pickling, like pickling cucumbers, gherkins. I don't know what it's called in Japanese, and it is very useful for hydrangeas because it does keep them lasting much longer. And also it can be used for, when I was there, one of the master instructors told me that I can use it for the Viburnum opulus, which is the snowball tree. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but if you are and you have it, this thing works with them as well. So I'm just going to put these lush, beautiful flowers. I want to make a mess, but I don't want to take away too much of the line that I've created with this structure. How's that? It's a little hard to see all the different angles and the shiny, and I'm looking at the view And now, the other thing I want to use is this material. Lucy, do you want to hold it close again, please? Just for a minute. This is called Crucifix Orchid, and they are absolutely delightful. Again, they have a very thin stem, which makes them very usable, but it's a strong stem. And I've created curves in these as well, similar to what I did with the Agapanthus. So I have these lovely curves and long line. Really, when the material is so beautiful, it is easy to make good Ikebana, I have to admit. I'm really quite passionate about the garden, as you can probably pick up. And I do spend an awful lot of time. Do you want to do that one?
Why are you removing the leaves?
I've removed the leaves because I wanted to fit neatly into this little hollow opening that it's just enough for them. Thank you.
I'm worried if it's going to be.
Yes. Lucy has just finished cleaning the leaves of this long one. It's a marvelous, marvelous plant. And again, the flowers, apart from being so beautiful, they also last very well. It's a real winner. It's a little bit tall. That was just a little bit tall and interfering with the line I wanted to create. Now, I'm trying to see if I can show it to you. Okay. Yes. Now, this is definitely the front because the flowers are coming forward, but I just don't know how much of it you are able to see. So that's that one. And when I was bringing this powder back home from Japan, I was a little bit concerned because it was in a plastic, just a plastic pouch. And I was a little bit concerned that some might have thought I was carrying drugs, especially since I couldn't even read what was written on it. Oh, thank you, dear. The Kensan, the sample Kensan.
I'll bring it down a tray.
Okay, now this container here is one that I made many years ago. And if you can see the curve that it has underneath, that curve creates a little bit of a problem for me when I'm using a Kenzan, because the Kenzan is straight and it has the tendency to just slide down to one side or the other. So to compensate for that, I actually have already done this in here, but I want to show you what I did. This is the Kenzan that I have. And what I did was I have wired 2 sticks on either side. Don't know if you can see it. On either side of the Kenzan, so that this height, it's a little bit higher, so that when it is actually placed there, it sits quite flat. I said earlier I was going to show you other materials that I curve in a similar way. These darling things are actually garlic. Sam, my husband, had thought he had bought some spring onions some years ago, and they turned out to be garlic, and I said to him, leave them alone, don't take them out. And I've been curling them in a similar way as I have done the Agapanthus. Now, the problem with these, however, is that they have this lovely long stem, but they're a little bit softer at the bottom. And when they go into the Kenzan, they can't really hold on very well. They're likely to soften and move. And so they need some sort of support. What I've done to all the others previously is I've cut a little stick. And the stick I'm using in this case is actually from hydrangea because it is a little bit soft, but hard enough to help hold the plant into the kenzan. I've placed it at the bottom of I'm placing it at the bottom of the stem, and I'm using florist's tape rather than wire. Wire has the tendency to cut into the material, and because you need to do it very tight to be strong. So florist tape is much more gentle, and what I'm doing is I'm winding it around. A bit more loop. Just pull. It's marvelous stuff because it's it's not adhesive, but it sticks to itself. So and this, when then it is when I place it on the kenzan, it is lovely and strong. And I have done this to the 3 stems I'm about to use. Yes, Lucy is going to try and show it more closely, hoping you can get a better idea. So I've done this to these here. Oh, one of them is coming off. It needs repair. It's all right. Yes, please. So the one that I did earlier has loosened with moving it in and out. Right. So I love the height. I particularly love these slender, tall stems. They are so elegant. And I can now place it in the kenzan and be sure that it will stay nice and secure. The same with this one. I might use that, please. I just want to push. I can't get my finger in to push it in more firmly. That's it. Okay. And I shall put the 3rd one. Maybe to the back. I love this line here. I don't want to put anything else to interfere with it. I love the curves, but I do need to put something. And looking around the garden, I came across these. These are bromeliad leaves, which I've just literally pulled out from the center. They have the lovely red color in the heart of the plant. The plant looks great in the garden because you're looking at it and it's got this bright pink heart turning into green. So I'll be using some of these just to finish off the arrangement. The beauty of it, it has its natural curl and it just hugs the stems. Yes, the curve. This is how they grew. So they have this natural curl, and when I put it in here, it just hugs. These are also very versatile material. This too can last quite a while out of water. I've experimented with many different materials over the years, and it's nice to have them in your, in the back of your mind for when you need something that perhaps, you can't use water for it. I think I'll leave it to 3. I don't want to put 4. It's a little bit balanced, 3 stems and 3 of these. Maybe I will put one at the back.
Emily, somebody was asking, does the garlic flower smell?
I knew somebody was going to ask me that. Actually, no, it doesn't smell at all. Even when I come up close, I can barely pick up a hint of garlic. So please go out there and grow garlic. I've actually tried to grow alliums, the ones that you can buy in the florist, which are so expensive, and I've been unsuccessful. And I'm a fairly good gardener, but I've not been successful in trouble growing.
It was your friend Haruko who was
asking. Greetings to you, Haruko. So that's, I think, is a complete arrangement. And that too will last a long time because the garlic will also dry beautifully. So again, a very versatile piece of material. Well, I'm going to work now with, is it the Strelitzia girls? Yeah. The giant Strelitzias, the tropical bird of paradise, is something that I adore, but is so hard to use because they are so heavy. This one here, this is again the sort of material we really can't buy at the stores in florists. This is something you either grow and have or you just don't have it. It is a tropical plant, but in a warm spot, it will grow also in Melbourne, where I think we are warm temperate, our climate here, so it grows. Now, I actually weighed this so that I'd be able to give you an idea of what this weighs, just under 2 kilos. So placing this in any vase, especially when the weight is all at the top, there's a danger of toppling it over. This container here is a very strong, heavy, it's like some reconstituted stone. It's not ceramic, but it is very strong. And what I've done is, I want to show you, maybe Lucy, you can see, I have these pieces here are bamboo, split bamboo, which means that they are quite flat. And I have wired them onto the bottom of the stem. I needed to find a way to make sure that it would stay. Yes, I wanted to turn it to face that way. And there we are. It really, there's not a lot you can do with it. Nature has done all the beauty. I've removed some of the dead material, which it often has. I've cleaned up, it brings out, I don't know if you notice, if you're growing any Strelitzias, they often bring out this, they ooze a certain slimy substance. When that comes out and it dries, it leaves unsightly mess. So I've cleaned it well, and my main job was to find a way to get it to sit in the vase, and I've done that. But it needs something else. It needed something more, and it needed something really strong. This is so strong. So up came the Guiamea leaf. The Guiamea lily is an Australian native, and it is mostly indigenous to the eastern part of Australia. It is now spread all over, but I have it growing in my garden, and it's my pride and joy. So I'm going to use this in a very simple way. No, it should be okay. I'm going to need you to hold when I'm wiring. So I'm going to need to, where shall I bend it? I'll bend it here. Just a minute, look, I need to bend it. So I've just bent it against the edge of the table. And I'm going to need to bend it a little bit more, but I can do that with my fingers, I think, later. So
Sensei, questions come through.
yes?
The bird of paradise, does that come from a banana plant?
Absolutely not, no. The leaves actually of the plant look similar. Could I have a fine wine? Actually, I'm going to need something stronger. No, I needed something to pierce with, but it doesn't matter. I might be able to manage it. You can't. Can you get me a needle, Vicky?
Yes.
A big one? It's very convenient that I also have a sewing room right nearby, and Vicky can get a needle for me when I need it. But no, it actually is, the banana plant looks very similar. The leaves of it look very similar to the tropical Strelitzia, but no, this is actually the Strelitzia family. It's called Strelitzia nicolai, whereas the common orange one that we have is the Strelitzia reginae. It's growing well here because I've got a nice warm spot that faces the north. So it gets quite a lot of sun. In fact, it's growing too well. We've had to cut down quite a lot of its very long stems.
It's not very big, so sorry.
Okay, can you hang on? I just want to pierce a hole because my wire won't go through the very strong spine of this flower. Of this leaf. So I'm using the needle to just make a pilot hole, and hopefully I can get the wire through. It's getting there. I know. Okay. Yep, we're in like fling. Okay. Can you hold that down, Vicky? Certainly. I want him to come up. Let's see where it is. So, yeah. Now, had I be doing this for an exhibition, I would be tidying it up a lot more carefully, but I don't want to bore you all whilst I'm fiddling. So I'll just catch it as best I can. The wire cutter. It's in there, it's on the table. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so you are looking at the front. I like placing this vase at an angle. It just makes everything look so much stronger rather than face on, but it can be viewed from other angles as well, equally well. Equally well, I think. And I'm twisting the tablecloth as I'm trying to do it. I can't tell you how heavy this is. You know, you need to be very strong to be an Ikebanist, and this angle is also very good, the way the leaf comes across. So that's the completed Strelitzia arrangement. It's okay.
It's beautiful, Emily. Very nice.
Thank you so much, Taruna. Now, a celebratory arrangement. I thought to myself, we've had Christmas, we've had New Year's, what's next? And what came to mind was Valentine's Day. So to that end, I decided to make a Valentine's Day arrangement. But I'm going to show you how I did this. This is the stem. These are stems from the Agapanthus. You know, those curved ones that I keep talking about? And I'm going to show you an example now of how I joined them together. I'm going to need the strong wire, the 18 gauge. Okay, so this is how they come. And what I did was I held them up to create the heart shape, and then in the center, and was left with that. Now, how to join those? It's a bit long, a bit shorter, yeah. I'm using a 18 gauge wire, so it's a fairly thick wire. I'm bending it to the shape of the center of the heart, and I'm just inserting the wire. Sometimes you need pliers. carefully because I have pricked my fingers so many times pushing wire into things. I keep my tetanus injections up all the time. Right, and then the other side. And Lucy's not there. I want to bring it up close there so you can see. There's the join. It's a little bit cliche to use the heart shape, but oh well, what fun. Can I have the flowers? Thank you. And I did actually, one would think I never buy flowers, and I rarely do, because I have so much that I don't need to buy more. But for this, I did have to invest a little bit of money. And it really is not a case of paying the money for the flowers. Here in Australia, we have lovely fresh material, but it's quite generic. There's nothing very interesting, certainly compared to the sorts of materials that I saw when I was in Japan. Oh, they left me drooling. This is why I've become so adept at growing my own. What I can't have from the store, I'll make myself. So the Gypsophila is so soft and lovely and feminine and pretty and Vicky just whispered to me, romantic. Yes, it is romantic. Long. So I'm keeping the Gypsophila quite low and to the side here. I think there might be enough Gypsophila, Lou. I might just start with the roses. And you know what I said about that horrible heat we had recently? All my roses were cooked to a crisp. So I had to order them from the florist. And these are quite lovely, actually. They were worth it. I do have a Kenzan in the bottom of this container, folks. And I also have, I should have mentioned before, a horizontal fixture to stop these from tipping forward.
Can you show it?
I can't lift it because it has water in it, I'm sorry. Really, roses, red roses. You can't really do a Valentine's Day arrangement without red roses. Yes. Did you bring the chocolates?
She ate them. Bring the whole tray with you.
Yes, I need the whole lot. The leaves are so lovely and strong, but I don't need quite so many of them. A little bit is nice. 2, 4, 5, maybe another couple. Make it rich. Ne? Getting a bit tight here now. There we go. Is that a little bit too even? And that thin stem, preferably.
This one's thin too.
It's all right. We'll see how we go with this one. Yes, it's getting a little squishy. Because of the horizontal fixture, it's taking up, and the opening of this container is not very big. So I'm struggling a little bit to fit everything that I want in. Okay, I might just stop with the roses there. Okay. Oops. And what else do we have on Valentine's Day? Chocolates. These are Ferrero Rochers, which I have wired. And then I have on a heavy gauge wire, then I've got it on a stick. Now, I did not pierce the chocolates. And so I'm going to show you how I wired these ones. But of course, there are any number of chocolates and there are any number of ways that you can present them. But I wanted to put them here. So I'm going to actually put them there and then I'll show you how I wired them. They're actually quite heavy. See, it's going to be very long. I think it needs to be a bit shorter. A nice little surprise for your beloved when he comes home. Don't forget the sexy negligee, girls. Right. So I think I might like. Now, how did I get a heavy gauge wire?
Yes.
And pointy nose pliers. Right, now unfortunately I'm going to do this and then I'm going to get it up close so you can see. What I'm aiming to do is the Ferrero Rocher has an exterior paper covering. On the inside it's covered with foil, so we want to make sure that we don't break that foil. We want to stay as safe as possible. So what I did was I created a little semicircle. And then I'll take it when it's done, Lou, I'll get you to show it exactly what I did. Now I played around with this, obviously it didn't just come to me straight away. I had to work it out. Now that shape there, yeah. Yeah, that's shown quite well. So then what I did was I fed this through the paper only. I pierced the paper. And then wound it around. And what it does is it's actually sitting in between the paper and the foil. It's a little bit moving. So you can twist the wire a little bit tighter. Oh dear, I broke the foil. We have to do another one.
We have to eat that one.
I like that.
You didn't see that? So we'll try again. And I actually, the paper on the, there we go, look. So the wire is actually sitting between the paper and the foil, and it hasn't pierced the chocolate at all. Not to, so that's the Valentine's Day, girls and boys. Boys can do this too. Actually, I'm looking at it from here. I think I could probably.
Very nice.
There's always room for fine tuning afterwards. I'm going to find so many faults in these when I'm looking at them later. Now, in Sogetsu Ikebana, we use all kinds of containers as well as no containers. We have the freedom to really be as creative as we want. And I've more than once found something at a secondhand shop or an opportunity shop which you know, it was not sold as a container, but which has become a container for me. And this is one example now. This interesting metal construction is actually some sort of a fruit bowl. Its original, I should say, purpose is as a fruit bowl. It's really quite lovely. But when you're an Ikebanist, you can see more. So I turned it upside down, and I just so happened to have this itty bitty little stainless steel tsubo vase. And I thought, right, well, this is a lovely container, but there's so much happening. There is so much with the lines and the silver and the curves that really I don't need, I need a very simple arrangement to go with it. So I brought, these are also Crucifix Orchids, similar to the red ones I used, but this is an orange one. And as you can see, the stems are nowhere near as long. However, it has these gorgeous leaves that are so dramatic on either side. And I think that would be enough. So I'm just going to remove the lower leaf because there's a bit of a curve to the stem that I want to avoid. I've got a small cleanser in the bottom of this. Voila. That's what you call really simple. But a little bit of forethought has gone to it to make it look so simple. And I think those of us who do Ikebana would be aware of that. Things don't just happen. You have to try and try. And then when you finally present it, it looks very easy. I would hold it from there, Vicky. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And going back again to manipulating material. When I was in Japan in 2017, I was demonstrating at the convention, the Ikebana International Convention. I was one of the member demonstrators. And I used the material which I just fell in love with. And it is just a curly allium. Now, we don't get these sorts of things here. We can only dream of them. We see them in magazines and we wish we could, but nothing like that ever is sold in the shops here. So what I can't buy, I will make. So I bought bulbs for the little alliums and I grew them and I manipulated them. And now I have curly alliums. This vase, this is a vase that I'm particularly fond of, and I don't know if you can see it. Lucy, do you want to put it closer? I broke this vase not too long ago and I was devastated. And so I used the kintsugi method of repairing by using gold with the glue that attached it together. So it's been given a second lease of life, and I'm going to use it today with great pride. I don't know that my gluing is all that good, but I'll probably be better the next time I try it. But I'm still very pleased that I could rescue my precious vase. Now, these are the alliums I was telling you about. These curly little, cute little things that we could buy from the florist in Japan, but which are never available to us. So I've made all of them, I've cut all of them for you here today. And unlike the garlic, which I used earlier, these stems are really quite firm. They don't need any support. They'll go into the kenzan quite well.
Do you want to show the mechanics in the...
No, that'll do. Okay, actually, Lucy's quite right. I should show you this. It's got water in it. Well, actually, I can probably explain it. I have, as you can see that this is a curved bottom, and the kenzan is always straight, so it doesn't sit very well. What I've done is I've put a vertical fixture. My kenzan is a bit longer than the opening, and I've got a vertical fixture attached from the kenzan, wedged underneath the container, so that, see, I'm hoping Lucy can, I'm going to tip out the water. so Lucy can show it to you. That makes my Kenzan much stronger and less likely to tip over. Doesn't matter, the water will clean it up.
There's the.
There are two sticks holding the Kenzan wedged.
Can you see it now?
From the container to the Kenzan. Yeah. That's just moved now, but we can put it back. So that makes it much more secure when I put these dear little things. Oh, I forget now which is the tallest one. This one. Is that the tallest one? Oh, how darling. I've been watching these. You know what I do? I go out there and I've got little, you know, the little pegs that you get on like Phalaenopsis orchids. I've got a whole lot of those. So I would catch them and I would, they would curve one way, then I would curve them in another way and catch them again until I got all these higgledy-piggledy effect. They are so strong, I actually have to put a lot of effort to attach them. We need a little bit of depth at the back as well. I'm only going to use these materials because there is enough drama here that it really can't take any more. I'm just trying to find a space to put them. I really don't have any idea pre-planned where they're going to go. So cute. Oh, right, and another one at the back. This could also be part of our curriculum, which says using only one kind of material. I think this works very well because I think this leaf needs to go. And I'm hoping you'll be able to see those lines. Oh dear. Does that help? Sorry. It's just they're so fine and they are dark in colour that they pale behind the wall. Okay, if you like. Lucy can bring it a little closer.
That light shows it more.
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Now, we're going to have just a tiny little, the name of the flower is, they are alliums, but I can't remember the exact, they are actually bulbs that you buy to grow, unlike the onions, which we eat, which can actually grow and let go to seed, as well as leeks. Leeks are fantastic because they make really big balls of flowers. So garlic, onion and leek, just throw them in the garden and just let them go to seed and you can have beautiful flowers like this. And a lot less expensive than the alliums that we buy in the shops. So I'd just like to interrupt for just a minute. I want to bring in a final arrangement, which is one that will be from the floor. So we need to move this table. It won't take more than about a minute. So talk amongst yourselves until we get back to you. We need some music. Actually, more like her sisters.
You can show her arrangement pictures till then. Emily has her blog. You all can follow the blog.
Maybe bring, yes, tools and maybe the water. the water. It's kept underwater, yes. That's all right. We'll sort it out. I'm sorry. Does it? Okay. I'll move this back, Lucy. Just going to move back. Is that okay there? Is it visible properly?
Not to the ground.
Not to the ground?
Okay, we have to move the table back.
It's actually very dark. I wonder whether we should turn on some lights. Do those. Taruna, well, I'm thinking of turning on some lights. Can you tell us if that
it's looking little dark. You can switch on some lights. Yes,
no,
much better, much better.
How about that?
No, one more.
The other one was too bright.
No, can you put on one more light?
Do those, Lucy. How's that?
This is better. This is better.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it needs this one too.
How does that look to you? I know it's got a lot of light on the side, but then otherwise we can't see this black structure.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is a structure I made in 2019 when we had an Ikebana International exhibition here. And I used it, it's a very sharp, angular metal. It's a metal mesh, which you can't see. It's got tiny little holes throughout it. And I used it in a very modern way, used with Gymea leaves just weaving through it, the big Gymea leaves just weaving through it. Today, I want to use it in a different way. I want to use it, I want to contrast the strength of this structure with the softness of mass material. And I want to incorporate with that Australian natives. I can't be making a demonstration from Australia without using some of our fabulous flora. They are, unfortunately, the ones that I'm particularly fond of are not in season right now, but I'll use some other ones, and hopefully you will be, you will see some things that maybe you haven't seen before in terms of materials. So,
what kind of mesh is it, Emily?
I'm sorry.
What kind of mesh is it?
It's a very strong metal. I'm not sure if it's aluminium, possibly aluminium, but it's black. So it's hard to see that actually you can see through it because it actually has little holes. Okay. Can I have the kangaroo paw again? Thank you. So this material here, these are also exported, so you may have seen them. This is kangaroo paw, and they come in all sorts of different colors. I like this one, mind you, I had no choice. This is the only one they brought in, but it has a lovely orange and yellow coloring to it, which is very soft against the starkness of the black structure. So, and it's something I don't normally do. I've got 2 containers here, plastic containers, in which I've got florist foam. That's a real no-no for Ikebanas, but there are times when you're doing exhibitions and such that really it's the only thing that works. Because my containers are tipped at the angle, putting water in there would not work very well. So I had to resort to what we call a no-no. So I want to start off by putting the kangaroo paw and extending it as much as I can. It may sit by itself, Lou, but I've got Lucy here on hand to wire them because the ones in particular that become heavy will droop forward, and we don't want that. We do have some really unique flowers, unique plants, trees in Australia, and it's a great opportunity to perhaps promote them a little bit. probably haven't needed the wire thing so far. No, I think maybe we'll get the Banksias. The Banksias come in all forms of colours and shapes as well, but I really want to show you really close the leaves of this plant. They are the darlingest things. I don't know if you've seen them before. They look as though somebody took a pair of scissors and cut these patterns, these designs. Aren't they gorgeous? And that lovely furry top. Yes. Can you take one of the leaves and put it in front of the screen to show them, because it is just, isn't that gorgeous? And that, at that end is the way it ends. It's not as though somebody has cut it.
Beautiful.
I think there was a question earlier. Somebody wanted to know how long the allium would last when they've been cut. They actually last quite well. How are we doing? Oh, that's looking good. Now, I want to use, sorry, I have to go in front here. This is not an arrangement one can do from behind, I'm afraid. So forgive me. That might need a wire, Lucy. Wire, come, yes, please. Getting heavy now. Don't need to do that. Let me have a look. And get these babies out. These are flowering gums, and they come in orange and pink and reds. I think what you're seeing there on the screen is more pink, but actually they're more red and orange. And then there are also their most beautiful, darling buds. They really are quite lovely. And again, there is more colour to them than what you're seeing on the screen. I think it's being washed by the lights. So these are quite lovely. Also, Vicky, can I have some of the, the wattle? This material is a wattle, and there are many different types of wattles. They're not in flower, but it's ready in its buds. But what I most love about this is its grey-blue colouring. So as a mass, it works really well. Sorry, that was me. So I'm just massing it in the back here, filling in this space with a lovely softness of this. Ah, that's looking good. A bit more wattle. Thank you. So mustn't forget the back. Okay. So I've got this part happening. Now I've got another container in the back there, and I want to use those lovely bright colours coming in from behind rather than in your face, which is so Sogetsu. We've trimmed the leaves to save time and to, well, not to bore you into watching us doing the, what I call the housekeeping. So we'll see. I think it might sit all by itself. No, it'll need wire. Donation.
We can't hear you.
Sister-in-law Tula, who went. I'm sorry.
We can't hear
my sister-in-law Tula. How's that? Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Taruna?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. These are, again, not plants that I can actually order from the florist and buy. They grow out in the street. We have them growing in these beautiful small trees. They're full of color at the moment. So my sister-in-law, Tula, went out this morning and cut some and brought them to me. And I should have also mentioned, you know, the giant strelitzia that we all admired was a gift from my sister-in-law, Betty. The whole family is involved in this demonstration, I have to tell you. No, I'm very blessed to have so many nice people around me, and they're very willing to help.
Everyone wants to know the names of the flowers you've used, all the flowers.
This is, I only know it as flowering gum. I'm sorry, I didn't look it up. I should have. These are the kangaroo paw. These are banksias.
Okay.
And this is wattle. That is its common name. Acacia is its scientific name, but I don't know the particular acacia. And some darling little the flowers themselves of this particular plant don't last very long, and they drop down and they look like little threads. But the buds are fantastic because they last a lot longer and they are quite lovely in their own right. Yes. Very thick stems. Now, I'm rather liking this. I think I'd like a little bit more wattle at the bottom there, just to fill up that space. As you can understand, this has not been rehearsed. It's just, I'm winging it because it obviously couldn't be. Yes. Yes. Okay. And then where are the deities? Now I'm sticking strictly to Australian natives, and this beautiful leaf is from a plant called deities. And I've got to figure out how I'm going to use it and where I'm going to place it. But I particularly wanted to use it because I wanted a little bit of line in with the mass. Very Sogetsu. Let's see. You can tell me if you don't like it, folks, and I'll change it. Now, this material, again, can survive without being in water. So if I wanted to place it in a way that it's not in the vase, it can actually survive quite a while. I can't see. Put a few coming from here. Are they too long? Yep, they are too long. And one of them is bent. Oh, that's better. That means I don't like those. They can go to the other side. Now, of course, we require a symmetry. We've got to have more on one side and less on the other, or maybe a little bit shorter. I think this one needs to be a little bit shorter. maybe we can do it from up here. Okay. What you didn't see is my sisters shaking their heads. We're trying to be surreptitious. And I'm happy to take advice. I have no problem. You can see what it looks like. Yeah. I just feel we need to make sure that we don't have, you know, two antennae. Yes, that's right. I think I might leave it at that. Yes, I think I'll leave it at that. I think that is the end of our demonstration. I'll just move it. I can twist it around a little so you can see what it looks like from the sides. And these are our lovely Australian materials, flora. Yes, and you can see it actually looks good from three sides. The back is not all that great. I suppose if I worked on it a little bit more, it probably could be viewed from all round, but time was getting away from us. I wanted to thank you all very much for joining me. This has been an absolute pleasure to do this demonstration. I particularly want to thank you, Taruna, yet once again.
My pleasure.
You've really come through for me. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Say goodbye to all. I hope you all stay well. By the way, just one little thing, in case anyone is concerned that we are not wearing masks, we actually are not required to do that here. We're very lucky here in Australia. We've got COVID under control, not eliminated, but we're well under control. So we are able to be without masks in our homes. So please don't think that we are breaking any rules.
Thank you, Emily. You are lucky to have a garden and grow lovely material required for Ikebana. We have to depend on friends when we need something exclusive and feel so guilty cutting it. Love the way you bend the Agapanthus. Thanks to your sisters, Lucy and Vicky. Now Harsha Hinduja, my Vice President, will give vote of thanks. Thank you, Emily, once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you.
Emily, you're amazing. There are no words to express what you have created. Magic. Our sincere thanks to you for sharing and showcasing your expertise and knowledge. You are an artist par excellence. The selection of the materials, the combination of your colors speaks volumes of your creativity and imagination. Your style is very minimalistic and yet so effective. It is thought-provoking and a lesson we must imbibe. Every Ikebana demonstration is always a new learning experience, and I hope all of us take home some new ideas and implement them. Implementation is more important. Ikebana helps us to live in the moment and value and appreciate the beauty of nature. We learn to create beauty out of discarded materials, thereby teaching us to be positive in the negative. The positive aspect of COVID is that the human race has developed a closer bond, and these virtual meets have given us an opportunity to see and to meet masters which we earlier never got a chance to experience. On behalf of Ikebana International, Mumbai Chapter 258, I wish joy, happiness, and good health to everyone. Thank you, Emily, once again for your magic.
Thank you for your very kind words. Thank you all, and bless you.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you. I hope all the members enjoyed the demonstration.
Bye now. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
We all enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
My very great pleasure. Thank you too.